Greetings and welcome to Channel Otherdoc. I'm Jim, your friendly Lacuna GM. It's 2020 apparently, so I'm very pleased about that. The calendar seems to be working. I use he, him pronouns, and this is our Invisible Sun campaign, The Edge of Paradox. Invisible Sun is a surreal slice of life game by Monte Cook Games. We are integrating the directed campaign, but most of this game happens spontaneously. We have another guest today. We have a wonderful guest today. We shall go around and we shall introduce everyone and say who you are and who you're playing and who everyone is with us today. And we shall start this time with Arras. Hello.
Sorry, I had to unmute. Hello. I am Arras, and today I am going to be playing Aroshka Ruzik. I always have to look at the sentence. Who is an aromatic empath, apostate who converses with everything. And my pronouns and her pronouns are both she, her.
Awesome. And now we go over to Wilde. Hello.
Yes, hello. I'm Wilde Engineer, he, they pronouns, and I am playing Shantano, an itinerant empath of the Order of Apostate who splinters into fragments. They use they, them pronouns.
And Anino, hello.
How's it going, everyone? My name's Anino. I play Mac the Husk, an itinerant enthusiastic of the Order of the Goetica, provides a vessel for spirits. They, them pronouns.
Awesome. And our guest today, Kienna, hello.
Hello. I'm Kienna. I use she, they pronouns. Very excited to be here. And I am playing Aurelia Alithier, also uses she, they pronouns. And she is an itinerant empath of the Order of the Vance who turns tales into reality. If any of you watched My Life in the Casually Unreal, hey, same character. She's back in the actuality.
Yay! Well, we're so glad that she's back. Very pleased, and we're getting ready. We're going to dive into this, but before we do, as a reminder, like we do with most games on this channel, we are going to be using the X card, the N card, and the O card. So if we hit something that's crossing a line for one of us, any of us can type an X in the Zoom video chat or anywhere else, or make an X symbol, and we'll back up and we'll do something else. If something happens that we're okay having in the game, but we don't want a graphic description of it, we can type an N in the Zoom chat and we'll fade to black on it, or we'll put it behind a veil so it'll be there, but we won't go into detail. Finally, if we're exploring a topic or an area of roleplay that's particularly intense for us, but we want to keep going anyway, we can put an O in the chat to let folks know that we're okay and that we're all good to keep piling on the drama. Something else we can do is we can put an O with a question mark after it when we're moving into a difficult topic, or we say or we do something and then think maybe that might be a little too much. Then everyone else can respond to that again with an X, an N, or an O and let us know if we're still doing okay. So, the last time on this game, we had a few things happen. They went over to 13 Station again for the second time. Those who were here present went to 13 Station and managed to go in and talk to the they weren't exactly spirits, they weren't exactly ghosts, they were reflections of an kind of an alternate reality of folks that had otherwise completely vanished because they had been on Limerence Street, which had disappeared, and which apparently never existed, according to most people, but our players still remember. And so they were able to find out a little bit of details. They found out that there is someone named Mayfra at the House of the Forgotten, the Home of the Forgotten, which is in the north part of their neighborhood, which is just south of Silver Hill. And this is a place, and if I remember correctly, where basically things that have been forgotten can be found there, and also things that go there can possibly be forgotten. It is it's a sort of a strange, exists in a strange place there, but also things can be recovered by going there, but it's also kind of a rest home type deal. it is it's an offshoot of an asylum, where they sort of set it up to kind of care for individuals in this part of town, is sort of in a Vizsla in particular, who have memory-based situations going on, and that have magical effects that sort of need to be contained. So that was what they discovered last time. Aroshka was not present for that second time around because there was a certain amount of flux involved in capturing the guardian of that place, the unforgiving clock. Shah managed it, but she and Aroshka got caught up in the after effect. Everyone else kind of got sent back about half an hour because they were dealing with a thing that was tied to the nature of time that was being captured. But the flux kind of ended up spinning them off somewhere else, which has been dealt with in downtime communications, and we shall see how much of it we find out. And so, as I always sort of do with these things, when trying to figure out whence comes the guest, I will first find out where the party is going to be and what they're doing, and then we shall find the way in. So this will also help me figure out where Aroshka is going to reappear, to an extent. So Mac and Shantano, kind of after dealing with all of that, did you decide to rest for a bit, or did you decide to go immediately and do something? I think I remember Mac saying he was going to go crash in Shaw's mind, but I don't know if that's something you want to do at this point, or if that's the thing.
Yeah, that's what he wanted to do. He burnt up a lot of magic.
Okay.
Through no fault of his own. So
I think we can say that folks got to then, just to make it easier, we can say folks got to rest, basically, and decided to try once again to meet up in the morning. Do you want to meet up again at the Broken Mirror, or is it or is there another thing going on?
Shantano would be trying to get the last parts of the ritual. The last.
Oh yeah, the pieces for that. Yeah. Let me go and reopen this real quick so that I can see where that is. So yeah, you're actually going to be doing that some probably in between. So let me. I
have incense, leaves of gratitude, and the vellum that we need.
Okay.
So it's needed for the ritual.
Yeah. How do you want to tackle that then? The incense you can just get again. That wasn't a problem.
I believe probably search for the leaves of gratitude at this point.
Okay. Let me actually go back and pull that up again so that I have that in front of me. Chaos. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, leaves of gratitude in general are a wee bit expensive, but they can be picked up. Where do you want to go to try to get those? Any thoughts?
If there was anywhere that they could try to scrounge them up themselves without having to purchase them, they would try that first.
Okay, let me go ahead and see if it's on the... I'm just going to check to see if it's on the thing. Yeah, the thing. If it's if they have a specific listing for it. Otherwise, we're going to go on a little trip. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to pull this open again. books that we're going to be using. All right. Okay. All right. So, if you're going to go try and scrounge up these leaves, these are how see, what did it say? 75 crystal orbs, so they're like 25 crystal orbs a piece. They're fairly expensive, these things. Where were you thinking to try to find them? Anywhere in particular, or are you just going to sort of hunt around, ask around, see if you can get a hold of them?
I don't know if it's something I would have come across on my travels. I would know where they would go. Otherwise, I would ask around to find out where to go.
Okay. I am now going to draw a card. Because of course I am. Okay. Now. The card that I have drawn is the Lost Star. Let me actually display that there. Okay, there we go. It's a card of notions. I think we may have had this before. Its meanings are good or bad luck, great distance, great age, great value, which is, again, oddly appropriate. We gaze into the night sky and we see the stars shining back down on us. We wonder what they really are, but that's a secret for another time. Stars represent a higher world where everything is magnified. Everything having to do with the stars is far greater than it would be in our world. Love burns brighter, gems sparkle more beautifully, and children sing more sweetly. At the same time, disasters are more calamitous, anger seethes more deeply, and armies wage war as far longer. Gray magic is up, and indigo magic is down. The Lost Star in divination offers good or bad fortune, determined by the card turned after it on the path, which that'll be fun. And so whatever that card suggests will be an epic in scale. All right. So, things are a great distance away. So actually, there's a way that I'm going. So the way that I'm going to do this through the magic of various plot finding, to see what you're going to. To help determine this, where you're going to find these leaves of gratitude. Essentially, you can just go around sort of asking for trade, that kind of thing. I'm going to ask a few things about things that I'm going to actually ask Aurelia a few questions as a bit of a setup here. First off, so in some time ago, my understanding is there was a great library that existed in Silver Hill, and that got kind of razed to the ground. Is that right?
Correct.
And so you've been looking around for some of the books that have been missing from it. Is that right?
Yeah, looking for the stories that have been lost.
Okay. What sort of in the intervening time, just so we'll get some kind of idea of this, what sort of things have you been doing in the interest of finding these things?
Probably going into finding the people that they know scavenge when disasters happen, who are the first to go and pick up from the debris. So she had probably done some visits to those people. Other than that, she actually would have gone and talked to people that she knew borrowed books from there and see if she can pull from their memories of the book what the stories are, if she's pretty sure that they can't be recovered physically.
Okay. This is good. All right. Okay. So there were a number of books that went missing. My understanding is that there were some of them were related to the topic of murder, but yeah, there were things sort of so. There were you actually apparently have so you've tracked down some of the information on these books. And you've got a couple of potential leads at this point on some things. One has to do with someone that you've heard recently who seems to be friends with the concept of murder.
Okay.
And the other the other is that there is a book that went missing that had to do with sort of a treatise on the connections that souls have to each other, and the souls of even the sort of the spirit entities of the of physical things, even not even just with people, but also everything basically has a spirit, kind of, if you sort of look at the cosmology of everything. So there was a treatise on that was written that one of those books also had gone missing, and you have heard that apparently one of its authors has been about acting kind of strangely. So those are your two potential leads, and I'm wondering which of those you would want to lean toward this evening.
I think the author acting strangely.
Okay. Then I shall come back to you in but a moment. I will tell you that yes, this is someone that you have. This author is someone that you have met before. This is Aroshka Ruzik. You had met her before the war. You saw her briefly after the war. If you went to there was a party. I don't know. Did you go to the party?
Probably someone invited her, and she felt obligated to go.
This was a thing. Yeah, there was so there's a Vance named Vivian who recently, and this was sort of around the time that the party took place, was successful in getting into the Parasad. This is a sort of a subgroup of Vances that does a lot of. It's not exactly law enforcement. They're kind of more like firefighters in a way. And it was sort of there was a kind of a celebration for her, and so that's what this party was. It was at a mansion that the Vance have, sort of a number of Vance have collectively. It's owned by a guy named Ludovic, who's a teacher. At that party, you briefly saw Aroshka, and this was before you realized that she was actually one of the people that you would need to look for eventually. And she did seem to be behaving differently from the way, somewhat from the way that you remembered her. She still had certain qualities where she sort of knows how to command people's attention, but she was using it way differently. So then the weird other thing that happened recently is that when you went to try to get her address, the street that you seem to remember her living on is no longer there, and so that's kind of weird too. No one seems to remember where that street went, but you're looking around, and we will resume shortly with that. But first, I need to do something terrible to Shantanu. So, let's see. Yeah, so I think that Shantanu, as you have sort of been looking around, it seems like it's like, and anyone that seems to have had them doesn't seem to have the leaves of gratitude immediately. It's very difficult to try to find them. It's like there seems to be a shortage of gratitude for some reason recently, that people have pressed into leaves. It's a very specific process. But you are able to work out a deal with the artisanal store, who actually do have the ability to put them together here. The home goods store, because they sort of at one point they'll kind of since that's one of the places where they have a leaf press there at the home goods store, so they can press emotions into leaves. So they'll be willing to. They can get you. They've got 2 leaves of gratitude right now. They would probably need to press a third. Either in order to get a third, there'd need to be some more harvesting of gratitude going on. But they could substitute a different emotion if that's desired. In exchange, they would like you to get them some. They'll do it for you in trade if you can get them something that's the essence of travel. Oh dear.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Everything all right?
Yeah, it's just cats. Yeah, Shantanu would definitely try to get the essence of travel, since travel is what they do.
Yeah. So there, the grandma who is who runs that shop is not, she's very kind and understanding with these things. So I mean, she'd be willing to. She will. Does Shantanu seem at all urgent when they're asking for the for the leaves, or is it more sort of a, or does it more seem like a casual thing?
More casual. I mean.
Okay. They'd ask you if you could get them if you can get them something that contains the essence of travel, that they can use to make basically. They want to make trip wafers for people. So there are a couple of ways you can do that. Either you can go and try to harvest an item that has the essence of travel in it already, or you can provide them with memories of your own travels.
I think I would provide them with memories of my travels.
Okay. So they're going to. So they're going to ask for, since you're asking for 3 leaves, they're going to ask for 3 memories. You don't necessarily have to specify what they all are right now. But I'm curious, how big of memories are you providing them, and how far away? How far is your traveling in these memories?
Did they specify exactly what kind of memories they're looking for, or just travel?
They need something that has emotional resonance, especially since they're paying the equivalent of 25 crystal orbs for it, for each one. It's got to have something significant, where it feels as though something significant was happening in the course of the travel. Doesn't really matter specifically what it was, as long as it was significant. They would prefer not to have memories from the gray, but if you must, you must.
Okay. No, Shantano would provide. First memory would probably be as they're traveling on a dirt road, more of a between small settlement types, and they came across this plain of grass during sunset. And they're just watching the breeze lightly sway it all back and forth. Just the contentment of a type of traveling scene that you only see. Just one of those random moments that you just kind of take in.
Cool. And was that in the Indigo, or where was? Which sun was it under? Basically, I'm just curious.
I'm not sure exactly what sun these would be under.
So, if you've been to, that sounds like something you could have. If you've ever been to the Green, we could say that that's from the Green. If you ever did that when you were under the, I know you went to the Gold, so that's possible. You could also find such a site under the Indigo Sun. And of course, you can also find that in the Gray.
This one would probably be more from the Green.
Okay. Yeah, we can say that you've traveled around a lot, so that's fine. We can say that you've been to the Green before. All right, cool. And if you've got the other memories to hand, I'll go ahead and take them down. Otherwise, if you want, you can let me know in between. It's no big deal.
I'll let you know between.
Okay.
But as Shantano, the way they hand off each memory is they change themselves, and you hear them cracking.
Yeah.
They slowly remove small pieces of themselves and hand them over.
Oh.
It's like little shards of glass.
Yeah. I don't know why I keep forgetting you can do that, but there it is. Yeah. No, they take these bits from you. They're a little concerned. They're taking them and they're going to press those into wafers. And in exchange, they give you 2 leaves of gratitude, and either do you want to wait for them to get more gratitude in, or do you want a different emotion?
I would wait.
Okay. They'll get you a leaf of gratitude as soon as they have the 3rd leaf in. As soon as they have enough gratitude in to press it into a leaf. That is earmarked for you. So they will have that soon, hopefully. So that transpires that evening. I think if folks are okay with this, the next day is when folks will be able to meet up again. I figure the Broken Mirror seems to me to be sort of the meet in the corner of the mall type place, basically. It's if we don't know, if we lost touch, let's all meet at the Broken Mirror. Now, something I'm going to mention also to Kienna is that Aurelia will have discovered that this place, and this is in the neighborhood just south of Silver Hill. That's where the this map in Roll20, if you'd like to call it a map, is of. And so it's a little sort of it's kind of a coffee house. They have a bunch of folks there that will, during open mic nights, will display emotions of actually, you've probably been there. You've probably been there because it's there is a fair amount of storytelling that goes on there. And so people will go up and they'll either tell stories or they'll do poetry, or they'll sing. But then what they're going to be really sort of coming off of them are these emotions that are recorded in the book that the proprietor has. So what I will say is that morning, Arushka, you have made it back through from the place where you were, which was kind of weird, but you had enough time to like sleep and what have you when you got back, so you were able to get to the theater and rest. So that morning, the folks who show up in there are Arushka, Mac, and Shantano, and as I think it'll be roughly as you are settling in that Aurelia will probably also spot you. So what's everyone doing? I will say, Mac and Shantano, you'll see Arushka, who you haven't seen for a little while.
Disappeared. Unreturned. I'm probably just sitting like in a booth or whatever they have there, looking very concerned, sipping some kind of hot beverage.
Also, actually, folks, if you could each once again describe what you look like, since I think that will probably be helpful. So yeah.
Right. So Shantano, I guess, looks. And they kind of got a blue glassy look with like cracks all over, as if they've been shattered and reassembled, possibly several different times. They wear traveler type robes and clothes, like something that's easy to move in, definitely not expensive or anything like that. And I think Shantano would just sit down with Arushka as if nothing had happened, as if they're there the whole time.
I guess I'll also... Go.
Oh, sorry. So Mac is about 5'10". He's got graying temples. He's of Pacific Islander descent. He wears a denim jacket, but with only one sleeve. His bare arm has a Bob Ross style landscape on it with a little cabin that's currently dark. On his flat cap, he has the symbol of the Cathedral of Illuminism on it, which is also not lit up at the moment.
And then Arushka kind of is like literally owlish kind of facial appearance, like big eyes, kind of creepy looking, and kind of wears like a real soft goth kind of aesthetic, almost witchy, just enough to piss off people who would be pissed off by that, but not quite like full on dressed like a witch. Also, she's probably having a conversation with the mug she's drinking out of.
Yes. Yeah. The mug is a little tired. The mug's a little tired this morning. And Yeah, it's very. It's crying out. It's crying out in exhaustion.
Here he is.
Who knows? Who knows why the mug is feeling the way it is? So you'll have a moment to chat, and then you'll probably Aurelia will probably spot you.
Yeah. And Aurelia, she has very soft features, mostly obscured by a pair of large round glasses. She wears Victorian style clothing, and her hair done up in the same quite elaborate fashion. The only thing unusual about her clothes is that there seems to be a very specific outline around on her torso, and a doorknob, as her torso is essentially a cupboard, and her clothes have been tailored so as to ease the opening and closing of said cupboard. And every time that she speaks or asks, even the simplest sigh or word, there's kind of a almost coming from her lips is this, the way that ink drops into water, that sound or word materializes as a word before it dissipates. And she notes Aroshka deep in conversation with the screaming mug.
That's new.
Yeah, that's not what Aurelia remembers, but she will open up the cupboard and pull out a pocket watch, which she checks, and is always 1 second behind before she puts it back in and closes it, and stands up, and there's a slight clack of heels as they approach Aroshka.
And you'll hear Mac just telling Aroshka, I think you might need to lighten up your grip on that mug a little bit.
Roshka's like, oh, I didn't
Mac-
think that's why I was screaming.
Mac, there is a very small chaos spirit that's just sort of sitting there, sort of transfixed by what's going on with the mug, and is also just sort of is kind of trying to edge in your direction while this is going on, but it's waiting and watching more than anything else.
He'll just leave the spirit alone. He doesn't really like to bother things, look weird talking to things that nobody else should be talking to, unlike, some people in the group.
Also, just so folks are aware, for this scene, our card once again is our friend the conspirator, the defender of secrets. Indicating the guarding of secrets, things are hushed conversations and various things of that nature.
Yeah, and Aurelia will stop at a polite distance, but clearly with the intention of wanting to get attention, but not wanting to interrupt a conversation.
Yeah, Reshka will recognize her from the party, and possibly from elsewhere. You think maybe you know her, you know Aurelia from somewhere, but you're not. Again, it's one of those fuzzy things pre-war.
Well, I guess when Aroshka notices, she's gonna be like, "Do I know you?"
Perhaps in the briefest of senses.
Okay. Oh.
I suppose reintroductions are necessary then.
I suppose. I'm Aroshka. These are my friends, Mac and Shantanu.
pleasure to meet you. My name is Aurelia. If you don't mind, I have a few questions for you, Roshka.
Sure, I guess. Sit
And
down.
yeah, kind of just like awkwardly like look back at like their half empty like mug of tea back at their table, and we'll just kind of go back and grab a chair and that mug, just awkwardly in one. Again, wearing Victorian dresses and doing this at the same time is not the most ideal, but they do it. And they will find a place to seat themselves at this table. With like maybe a casual glance towards the not screaming as much bug.
Yeah. I will say, Aroshka, I will say, Aurelia, as you're sitting down, you do note that Shantano kind of matches the description of the person who has possibly has a connection to murder.
Oh.
As well. But I just thought I would mention that.
Cool. Good to know. I don't suppose you've heard about the burning of the library around Silver Hill?
I hadn't, but I missed a lot while I was in the Gray. Things have been a little crazy since I got back.
So, never quite calm here. Well, unfortunately, that was an event that occurred, and as you can imagine, many of the books there had, either been taken or perished in those flames. I have a interest in restoring said knowledge, and particularly the stories, into the actuality here. And if I'm to understand correctly, you were one of the authors of a certain book I'm looking for.
Oh. Well, I did recently discover that apparently I wrote a book, well, part of a book. What's the name of the book you're looking for?
Insert title, insert title. So something that I planned to do at some point during the break, you know how you plan like 90 million things to happen when you have free time and then the free time goes away, was to make out a list of the books that have so far come up in this campaign, because it is growing considerable. But the title that Aurelia gives you is the title of that treatise that you picked up at the school. And I don't think we actually gave it a name.
No, we just
But
discussed the highly concerning contents of this treatise,
Yes.
and we all admired a photo of me in a power suit.
Yes, you can actually, if you want, Arras, you can tell me the name of the book since you wrote the thing.
Oh gosh. No, I don't have any clever names for the book off the top of my head. I'll be like, oh yeah, that one.
Like, we can call it a treatise on soul objects.
What a boring book. It's like, ooh, yeah, that one. I read that recently.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Apparently I wrote it. It was news to me.
A brow raises slightly.
Yeah, I forgot a lot when I was in the Gray. Apparently I forgot writing a book.
Quite the feat to forget.
Yeah, we found it when we went to the creepy school. It was kind of fun, pretending to be students, and then books just magically appeared out of the ether.
Huh. Well, that might be a good place to start looking then. Did any other interesting books catch your eye while you were in there?
I don't think I actually looked at any of the other books. I like look around at Mac and Shantano are like, did you guys get any interesting books?
Not from the school.
There's this one book that I reserved from the school about something about destroying the path of suns. You know, something small like that.
Oh, very, very small indeed. I think Aurelia at this point will kind of tilt her head. Pardon me for asking, Shantano. Do you happen to be familiar with the concept of death?
This is Aroshka's turn to look confused, like, is it everyone?
I mean, I've seen death, if that's what you're asking.
Are you referring to the incident at the party?
Well, I am going off a description of something. I was told to look for someone who, if not at least familiar, then friends with the concept of death.
Want to meet them?
Oh, that concept of death. Oh, gosh.
If you'd like to meet them, I can probably bring them here now.
I really don't think this is an appropriate time to bring your friends. And this is a goetic talking.
Nice when I met them. I wasn't murdered. Other people were. They even gave me a couple coins.
Yeah. I will say, Aurelia, you think that you heard a little bit about some kind of incident at a party that there's another Vance named, I think her name was Isabella. Basically throws kind of, it's sort of like a copy of the Eternal Party down in the Pale that she has in a building near here. It's actually in the building next door, you think. It's this party that never ends. That she's created this sort of construct, and that you did hear talk at some point about this person that was walking through the party that had that like was able to. A couple people invaded the party. It got raided by another building, basically. Which is kind of hard concept to explain, but it's not exactly in physical space. But there's a place where there are buildings drifting, and just immediately touched one, and it dropped dead. One of the people invading the party, crashing in through the windows. Pirate-like they came, and then fell. And then immediately were dispatched.
Well then.
Sure, if we ask nicely, they won't murder anybody.
Or perhaps this can be covered another time, but I would like to speak with them at some point, perhaps not here, if that's the concern. Many of the books that were lost had some relation to them. And of course, it's pretty hard to just call them up if you don't know them already.
Names of any of these books you're looking for? Kitty.
If Kienna was not so tired, she'd probably have some names that she could come up with.
Books aren't bound to mere names. There's so much more than that.
Yeah, she's like more worried about the contents.
Yeah. But there are some descriptions that you can provide. You can provide some titles and what have you. And I will say, Sean, to know you actually these do match some a little bit, because you recently were in touch mentally with the curriculum, so you actually have kind of a lead on a number of these. Actually, that Aurelia's describing, and yeah, there are some of those you think are over, might actually be over in the Home of the Forgotten. Or some of them might have ended up. You don't know if they were put there deliberately or not, but that's where the curriculum said that they are.
someone hearing descriptions and be like, well, I believe we are heading to the same place if these books are where I heard they were.
Oh. Well, that's certainly convenient. I hope you wouldn't mind me joining you then that way, whenever you head over.
Just
Have you heard of the Home of the Forgotten?
Oh, well, familiar with it as I am with most places around here. And with places that used to be here, but are no longer. Definitely kind of like looks at Aroshka. It's being like, do you have... They don't say it. There's definitely a look of like, do you know what I'm talking about?
I should also mention, just to add insult to injury, her house is a giant book.
It
The
is.
house that disappeared.
One that disappeared.
Yeah.
The house didn't like me, so I left.
Big oof. Yeah, that's fine. Well, in terms of the book that you don't remember writing, but you certainly co-wrote, Aroshka, where is the copy of that?
Did I keep the copy that
I think you did. I don't think you did anything else with it.
Okay. I'm gonna, for the sake of convenience, I'm gonna pretend that I have it with me.
You easily
Plot
can.
convenience.
Sure.
Yay.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine.
I'm
It's
gonna be
either
like,
here or it's at the theater. It's very easy.
well, that's true. Depends. Does Aurelia want to visit my theater?
No, you can have it with you.
We can meet the mime.
I'm sorry, what?
I have a friend who's a mime. They
Oh,
never
okay.
speak.
And only is known by the mime.
Well, yeah, because they never speak, and therefore I've never had an opportunity to learn what the mime's name is. But we're good friends otherwise.
I don't know his name, but we're good buddies.
Hey, the mime helped us get to, like, one of the other sons. It's great.
Okay.
So that could be a thing that happens, or plot convenience. I can have the book on me.
That works for me.
I'm good either way.
Jim's like, sure. Let's go with plot convenience. I conveniently have the book on me, and I'm like, oh yeah, like reach in my bag or whatever, and I'm like, the contents were a little concerning if I'm honest. Like, hand it to you.
Concerning in what sense?
I just apparently used to research some very unpleasant things and then write books about them. Not 100% certain I honestly understand my own research. Possibly if my notes still existed, I could understand, but they don't, so I don't.
Aurelia's already starting to flip through.
Yeah. So, what you're going to see in there actually jibes to a certain extent with what you have heard about Aroshka. You'd heard that she was very close to solving an equation that had to do with you remember about her having all this talk, basically, about her having these studies that involved just sort of looking at, well, sort of, if you look at the path of suns, that's also contained within the human soul. That's basically a thing that they talk about. And Arushka was studying that and also studying ways to basically, in a way, sort of communicate with anything on that basis, essentially being able to directly tap the soul of the universe, basically the soul of the path of suns, that human soul the path of suns represents, it's been something. It's been a nut people have been trying to crack for ages. The Vants certainly have been trying, and apparently she was very close to solving an equation when the war broke out for it. And looking through this book, which came out before all of that, before the war broke out, you can see in there kind of seeds of that, and ways in which, and some of it's theoretical. There's some references to sort of cross references with work with a group that is called the Pneuma, Pneuma. But the strange thing is, in some of those sections, there are parts missing. There are like entire paragraphs missing out of the book. But from what you can glean, it looks as though some of there's a lot of sort of theories about turning that into some kind of a weapon. Basically, the idea that you can displace a person or the soul of a thing, just kind of using a sort of a device that you would make out of this kind of thing, or a structured spell, and a lot of it is very theoretical, but that's where it starts to lean into there's a lot of it could go either way, right? It's like this could be used for good or this could be used for much less good, basically.
All right. Aurelia is definitely, it seemed pretty, even though she's just skimming, she does seem like she's picking up everything that she's kind of skimming through. That's her whole thing, is to memorize stories and books and information, so she's doing that.
Yeah. I will say the one thing that is a little perturbing is that there are parts that are clearly missing, and it's not like someone tore pages out. The pages are there, but some of them are blank, and there are like parts of it where a paragraph goes and then there's nothing, and then it just continues, which is a little weird.
Does it look purposeful? As if it was created from its inception, or was it something that was tampered with after?
So it looks like it was printed that way, but
Okay.
from the structure of the book, it looks as though it was intended to have things there.
Yeah.
Are you saying you're memorizing, are you memorizing each page as you skim through this book for future reproduction?
Less reproduction as it is just preservation, I suppose, is the better way of putting it.
Oh. That is amazing. I have a theory about those blank spots in that book, though. Are you familiar with the disappearance of Limerence Street?
Yes, actually.
Yeah, so I think that there are entities or things pertaining to those passages that happen to exist or be stored somewhere on Limerence Street. And with Limerence Street currently being wiped out of history, I believe the passages in this book are missing because of that, whatever spell was to cause this issue.
I feel like as soon as Limerence Street comes up, Arosha's kind of like, ooh.
Fascinating. Yeah. And I think Aurelia is basically almost done the book at this point. Going through and just memorizing each thing before she closes it and hands it back to Aroshka.
tucks it back in the bag.
Did you sign your own book to yourself?
Did I? Like, pulls it back out and looks.
I think there was something about that in the session where you got it. I can't remember whether you actually signed it or not. I think we joked about that. I don't know if that actually happened. But you easily could if you want. It's your book. Best wishes, Arash Karuzik. We can say that's in there in the leaf. It's probably not. It's not for anyone specific. It's
Yeah, it is a signed copy.
Yeah, it's a signed copy.
Oh.
She does the Brian Sanderson thing where she'll go and find her book in bookstores and just autograph them randomly.
Yeah.
As you look at it, you almost kind of remember signing it, but that's about it.
Anyways, thank you if we were to solve the mystery of Limerence Street. Those passages should reappear in that book. I wonder if you will actually end up receiving that knowledge, or if you would have to go back to the book and reread it again.
It's interesting because it begs the question of whether or not the information's there and we just can't see it, in which case maybe that would happen, or if it's like actually gone, then Aurelia would have to read it again.
Well, I suppose the only way we can resolve that is to just, discover Limerence Street again.
Do the thing we've been trying to do for how long now?
I don't know. I mean, we've had 7 or 8 meals in between.
It's been a couple days at least. That one
we get
sandwich.
there eventually.
One sandwich was really certain.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've been kind of unconsciously avoiding the House of the Forgotten, but I really don't think that there's anything else that we can possibly do at this point. I haven't finished reading any of those books that I had taken out of the library yet, so...
Should we head over then?
I suppose we could go.
Yeah, let's do it. What's the worst that can happen?
I mean, I think I've heard some pretty bad things about stuff that can happen when you go there, but we've done a lot of dangerous things already, so...
Aurelia definitely has a brow cocked at that.
A lot of things. Are we going?
Yeah, we're going.
Doing the thing.
All right. So, yes. It's a little overcast. It starts raining a wee bit as you're heading in that direction. Storms raging a bit. So you head out of the Broken Mirror. You head eastward past the Susurrus Fountain and the theater. And turn past the sort of that square that the mime performs in, and at the end of it, down this path, this tree-lined path, you see this sort of brick wall with a gateway in it that's got the entrance to the home of the Forgotten. The home of the Forgotten is sort of a satellite location of a building called the Calavan Madhouse. That's what they refer to it as. And you basically see there's a gate that's open, and there's what looks like kind of an exercise yard type deal, and then the main building, sort of a couple stories brick building.
What were the things we heard about the House of the Forgotten again?
So my memory of it is that, without going too meta, is that it's a place where it's like a rest home in some ways. They will send Vizsla there that are having trouble controlling their magic, especially ones with very powerful minds, where their memories are causing issues. So the home itself, something about it, can cause things to be forgotten that are there, but also there are things there that if they have been forgotten, they can be found there. So all manner of things can be found there. It helps to manifest things. It's a sort of therapy. It's a sort of a memory-intensive therapy that goes on there.
Guess we just go in.
There seemed to be like a reception desk or
There is.
sign-in area.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is, and they actually gave me the layout of this, which is very strange, but there it is. I know there's you have an admittance area, sort of as you come in through the gates, and you see it's still fairly early in the morning, but there's no one out here, but see there's sort of in the corner there's an admittance area. You can go in. It's got it's sort of an awaiting area. There's a sort of a desk that curves around, with someone sitting behind it and a few chairs. You can see past the desk there's a staircase leading up, and then also behind the desk there's a hallway leading off. And behind the desk there is there's an individual that she's standing. She's sitting down right now. You can't see how tall she is, but she's got sort of curly blonde hair. She looks a little bit severe. She's wearing a white robe, and see she's writing something down. And I'm actually also going to just for my own edification. I will also draw yet another card because, of course, I shall. Okay. So that we shall see going into this scene that our card is the Endless Woods. Once again, which meanings are sound, nature, mysteries, the dark side of the forces of life. Woods in the wilderness are untamed and unsafe. Travel through them is perilous. We hear things all around us that we cannot see. Trees and undergrowth conceal dangers and perhaps wonders. The Endless Woods is the location card of the Mysteries family, and rightfully so, for it is the very home to the unknown and perhaps the unknowable. Green magic is up, pale magic is down. And so yeah, they're basically you're gonna see that as she's sort of severely writing something with a charcoal pencil on a kind of a tablet, and Mac, you're going to notice that a couple of spirits sort of are there are a couple of spirits sort of sitting on the inbox that are sort of looking down. They're sort of like they're a little odd because they kind of have these these heads with spirals, spiral symbols on them, and they look up, and they're looking at you very intently as you come in. Can't hear you.
You're muted.
Sorry. So what are you three supposed to be? Email?
And they look over, and one of them just sort of actually gets up and drifts in your direction, and they say, "We're twists in the labyrinth."
Well, that sounds very ominous.
And these little spirits only Mac is able to right now see and hear, but it's like, well, we do gather, because there's rather a lot of pondering here.
So, is there anything of interest, trend lately?
And it's just sort of cocks its head and says, everything's interesting to us.
Huh.
And it's actually just sort of looking at your head more than anything else right now, saying, it's like very interesting to look in there.
Yeah, generally I provide a vessel. I don't provide a visit.
Not yet. And it drifts back and sits on the edge of the desk looking at you.
So Mac's just going to turn to everybody else and says, I don't know where we should begin here.
The woman at the desk looks up at you now and is, as you're sort of saying that, and can I help you?
Oh, I suppose that would do. Yes, actually. We're looking for something.
Anything specific? Or are you just looking generally?
Well, I do like to window shop, but no. I'm actually here to look for Limerence Street.
What now?
Yeah, see, I'm lost. Well, Aurelia here is looking for some books pertaining to her interest. Maybe you want to talk to her, Aurelia, while I consult with my colleagues about Limerence Street.
Yes, that would be appropriate. Yes, we're searching for a selection of books. Ones that have been lost due to an unfortunate fire.
I see. Your hope is that someone here is remembering them. I take it.
Perhaps, or perhaps the actual physical might be here, as long as the information and the stories are intact. I have no true concerns as to how it's presented.
The books we receive here are donated. They are for the patients.
You wouldn't mind me perusing them, though? I would not take them from here, of course.
I am going to ask for some persuasion here.
Okay.
Um,
I don't know how that works in this game anymore.
That's all right. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and actually pull up. I need to tell you what the challenge is.
Cool.
Okay, so, she is level 4. She has a +2 on social interactions. So, she's going to be effectively a challenge of 6. And so you let me know what you're bringing to bear against that. And
Okay.
so that kind of knocks it down, sort of. So tell me what your adventure is.
Cool. Okay. Let me go through my sheet again.
Sure, no problem.
So I'm highly trained in social interactions. I believe I have a 5 in that.
You have 5 in social interactions?
Yeah.
Okay, well then in that case, that's going to be a 1. So right now you'd need a 1 or better, and if you add anything else to that, then you're not going to have to roll.
Let me see. I have anything.
Hey folks, you brought the right guest.
Is this what it's like when you have a competent character?
But you get when you put everything in charisma-esque stuff. Let's see if I have anything. My soul has stuff that I can do with it.
Okay, now is that only if you reveal it, or is it?
It's a gift.
Okay, all right, cool.
I'll just boop that to you privately.
Sure. Interesting. We've not had anyone use their secret souls yet. Okay.
Not quite sure if it applies, but
Is that the only thing that's listed under your soul, by the way, or is there like a thing?
there's a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay.
With it. Here, let me.
I just ask because I want to make sure we're not doing something that it would require you to reveal it for it to work. Okay. Yeah, I think now, if I recall correctly, in order to access those gifts, you actually have to reveal your secret soul.
Okay.
So I would not recommend doing that.
Yeah, won't do that then.
It's up to you. So
okay.
That's the thing. Right now, as it is, it would be you'd need a 1 or better.
Yeah, which
on a on a D10, you're only really rolling because there might be flux. Well, there wouldn't even be flux, but there's a chance you can roll a 0, basically. A 0 is not a 10 in this game. A 0 is a 0. So you got it.
I just thought it'd be fun to try to see if I could.
I know, right?
My way through it, but it's fine.
You could. You almost were. You were almost there. If someone had helped you, you'd have it. Anyway.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So she's just sort of looking, and she's as you're saying this to her. You see during the day who is here. Will it provide that information? No, of course it won't. It'll only provide that in later information. Hang on. Okay, got it. Okay. Okay. She sort of looks up. She says, "All right, I don't see what harm it would do necessarily. we don't really permit visitors as such, so you would have to be accompanied by our security officer. And I am just going to, and I just need to clear it with Dr. Gore.
Of course, I understand.
All right, just a moment. And she reaches up and she rings a bell. This tiny bell that's sort of hanging on the wall, and when she does so, you hear this bong bong sort of echoing throughout the facility. And after a moment, you shall see an individual, a couple of individuals coming up. You see here as I kind of describe this person. You see someone wearing sort of a white lab coat type deal coming out. This is Dr. Gore. She has large bird-like eyes and a display of multicolored feathers for hair. Carrying a clipboard and a few notebooks. You see that sort of coming up a little behind her is what looks kind of like an orderly, but it has no face. This is kind of it looks like it's probably a thought form. So it's more the ideal of orderly than an actual orderly. As this is these folks are coming up, she sort of turn and sort of comes out. Dr. Gore comes out and sort of looking up. What's going on? And she'll sort of turn to so what's going on, Kylie? Kylie, and you've now heard her name. Kylie turns and says, "No, Dr. Gore, they're wanting to look over some of the books that were donated. It's just to look through them. It seems that they had held some degree of importance. I told them that we don't typically allow visitors, but that's not really interacting with any of the patients, so I thought that might be all right." So Dr. Gore sort of will look over and sort of with these widened eyes and just kind of, well, yes, she has these tiny little sort of glasses that are sort of perched on the end of her nose, which seem as though they can't even get near the eyes, but for some reason it just has these that she takes off and adjusts and is sort of wiping up. She says, "Yeah, you want to look through our books? Is there a particular reason?"
Well, I'm simply a preserver of information. And of course, any loss of that type of information that's provided in books, especially in such large quantities as it was with the fire at the library, is, quite unfortunate.
Uh-huh. Okay. I see. All right. And she just sort of will look up. Marcus! And coming down the stairs, you see this individual, whom I'm now going to show to everyone.
Oh, fun.
This is whom I shall now show to the audience. This is a very big, sort of powerful, muscular individual. You can see is presumably the head of security for this for this facility. Sort of described as sort of bronze plates fused into the flesh, bulbous head like a puffball mushroom with 6 thin tendrils, always in motion around it. So Marcus comes down and comes down and sort of nods. Yes, Doctor. And sort of looks up. These... And just sort of looks over and says, these people and sort of, what, all of you?
Yes. These are my companions for today. I look to them to make sure that they're okay with me saying that. in a very subtle, don't like answer me, but in like a check in.
So these
Please do not actually thumbs up. There's nothing so suspicious.
I'm just imagining that now.
Nothing so suspicious like looking at somebody and they go, yeah.
No one said we were good at this.
Mac just leans in and gives a really, really obvious wink. I'm just kidding. No.
They're turned away just as it's happening. And they look back, and so these individuals need to go up and just leaf through our collection in the common area. Just make sure that is everyone in their rooms? Yes, Doctor. All right. Yes, go ahead and let them leaf through, and just make sure no one disturbs any of the patients. You should all be a little careful up on the when you are headed up there to our library. Our library is up in the common area on the 2nd floor. It has certain associations. We use it for the therapy. Be very wary whilst you are up there to hold on to anything that you are happening to look at, as there may be certain side effects if your concentration is at all disrupted. We do not wish you to be subject to the forgetting.
So basically this place exists just to wipe the minds of dangerous people?
Oh, goodness, no. We're making them better. We're not wiping their minds at all, but that which is forgotten can be remembered.
But probably shouldn't.
No. Those who are here are dangers to themselves and others, and until we can help them to get to a point when that is no longer the case, those memories must be contained.
Where are they contained?
Well, it is the way this place was designed. It draws out the disturbing memories, and then our security officer helps contain them.
That would be Marcus. He just jerks his thumb at the big hulking bronze guy.
Marcus is just like...
Oh, how often do you hit the gym and lift?
He says, I had an internal gym installed when I last went to the changery. I am constantly lifting.
Oh.
Even now, I am in a state of lift.
It's pretty intense, bro. And Mac tries not to crack up when he says bro. But
It's very difficult. Very difficult.
well, all right. Let's just head up to the common room, and we'll get out of your hair as soon as possible. And Mac is actually going to look for any of those twisted labyrinth spirits.
They're watching this with great interest. They've crept up to the edge of the desk and are just sort of looking back and forth between you and and Marcus.
Okay. So just as discreetly as he can, Mac is going to work himself into that meditative state to basically provide a vessel. And maybe cut a deal with one of the twisted labyrinth spirits.
Okay. So yeah, basically, yeah, there are a few of them around. So are you going to follow everyone upstairs, or are you going to hang out down here and do it with just the ones that you see down here?
I'll follow you up, you guys, in just a bit. I just need to take care of something, and sort of just start a side conversation.
Okay.
All right, I need some information. Are there any people associated with the Numa in here?
There may be. There may be. That's very dangerous information.
Yes, well, we seem to be dealing with that quite commonly lately.
Are you offering a ride?
Depends on what you want to do. And you'll need to make a decision quickly, because I don't think they're going to appreciate me wandering around this facility unattended.
A trip through a mind to be named later.
Very well, but I have right of refusal if the timing is not right.
Very well. Yes. She's in room 9.
Do you have a name?
Mayfer.
Well then.
She is difficult to get if one gets too close to her for too long. I'd be wary.
I suppose I'm just going to have to take that chance. Which way's to room 9?
Up the stairs and down the hall. It's at the end on the right.
All right. Is that is the group on the way in that general direction?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, they'll basically when you get up to the second floor, you're gonna see now. You're gonna see that basically you've got the stairs end at the common area, and then the hallway's on the left.
Okay.
And it will it will extend its hand for the bargain and say, I am called Flourish.
Well, that's quite a fancy name you've got. Bargain is struck.
My line of work. Nods. And we'll retreat back to the desk. All right, so upstairs. So the three of you head up the stairs before Mac does, and you'll see basically the common area. It's not a huge common area. It has some chairs. It has a ping pong table, and that doesn't look like it's seen much use. There's a sole sad looking ping pong ball sitting in the middle of it, but no paddles. Also, along one wall, there is a bookshelf with a number of books upon it. And basically, up here, you've got the common area, and then immediately you've got a short hallway that leads to rooms that all appear to have closed doors.
I think as we're heading towards the common area, Shantanu would whisper to Aroshka, he's like, maybe some of your memories that you're looking for are here.
Do they just end up here? Is that how that works? Or would I have to have visited before?
Would you have remembered if you had visited before?
I don't know. I don't think so. Why?
They did say Marcus there helps wrestle the memories away.
That's true. Maybe I could ask. If I used to be a patient, seems like a thing I should be allowed to know.
You folks are up here with Marcus.
Are we in the common room already? Is Marcus just like chilling, powerlifting in the corner?
Yes, he's no matter where he is, he's powerlifting. But he's there. He's standing in the corner, just watching you.
So Mac is going to just whisper to Shantanu and Aroshka, hey, not to interrupt your conversation or anything, but I need you to distract Marcus for a little bit. I'm going to go down and visit a patient.
Oh, well, we have the perfect method of doing that. Wander up to him. We were just discussing having a conversation with him is all. So I just go over to my guest and be like, hey, Marcus, I've forgot many things in the past. I don't actually know how long I was gone. But I was wondering, would I remember if I had been a patient here? And if not, can I ask, is that allowed?
And he just sort of turns his head and he's like, no, you've never been a patient here.
Oh, so I just lost my memories the old-fashioned way.
I think I need to, I'm actually going to ask you to roll to see if you notice something.
Ooh, what am I, how many dice do I roll?
It's just the one, and
just the one?
I'm gonna call this a 4.
Can I wait, let me see if I have anything to bring to this. Would understanding people's motives be useful?
Yeah, it would.
I have a level 1 in that.
Okay, so that's down to 3.
I don't think I have anything else useful.
Would I be watching as well?
Yeah, can I get help?
Yeah.
I have seen through deception, understanding people's motives.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is kind of this is for a very specific thing that he just said. But yeah, you can use that also to try and catch it. So that will knock it down to. Actually, you have two different things.
Sing through deception is one of them. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that'll work. That'll work here. So, yeah, that'll knock it down further. That'll knock it down too.
Oh,
yeah, you got
wow.
it.
Unnecessary.
So, yeah, funny thing, as you're doing this, yeah, he does, from what he says, you realize that he said you've never been a patient here.
Oh.
And you realize that actually you've seen him before.
Ooh. I'm gonna squint at him and be like, speaking of memory loss, Marcus, have we met before?
And he kind of just sort of looks over at Chantel. I kind of assume it is... What is Aurelia doing while this is going on? Are you already just like leaping on the books, or are you?
Probably. I think she saw that they were having private conversations. I was like, all right, we're gonna do this. I think she has one ear out for whatever's happening, just in case she needs to step in. But other than that, she's just kind of going through and finding the titles and starting to memorize books.
Okay, you're going through. From a scan of the spines of the books and everything that's in here, it does look like there are actually a couple that are here. There is going to be a certain amount of concentration you're going to have to use right now, though, because of the nature of this place.
Right.
So. Do you have a special ability that you are using when you're reading and basically scanning these books?
I do not have a specific thing to it, I don't believe.
Okay.
To do.
That's fine. Let me go ahead and just make sure I got this pulled up here. Okay. So it's going to be a challenge of 6.
Okay.
And this is basically just a roll where you are focusing on this thing, and if you have resistance, you can use that. It's kind of like a mental attack, but not. It's like you're trying to do a thing and avoid getting lost in the memory mists, as it were, while this is going on.
Let's see if I can find anything that will help me. Would the intellect skill work here?
Yeah, if you've got intellect, skills, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that would be a 3.
Okay.
In intellect.
Let me look at a thing real quick. As intellect, I just want to make sure that I'm remembering this right.
Good.
Intellect is a category, yes?
Yes, it's one of the qualia.
Okay, so I think if it's just in and of itself, yeah, you've got because you can have skills under intellect that are actually like named skills. Mm-hmm. If you got an intellect of 3, that's in terms of like points you can spend if you want to spend those to basically bring it down. So that is a thing you can do. Cool. If you're wanting to spend qualia on it, it's kind of what we're looking at.
Yes, I think I will do that.
Okay, so how much of that do you want to spend?
We're gonna spend 2 out of my intellect.
Okay, so that'll bring it down to a 4.
Okay.
Anything else you want to bring in? Or anything in the area you want to use to your advantage?
Would this whole magic memory situation be considered a formalized or codified kind of magic, or is it just the effect?
I think it would have to be codified because this is a thing that they built on purpose.
Cool.
So the makers who put this together threw it in. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I have one level of skill with anything having to do with understanding and identifying them.
Yeah, absolutely. So that'll knock it down to a 3 or better.
Cool. I will go with that then.
Alrighty. Also, you can, just so you'll know, if you want to get a second die, you can spend a sortilege to make this magical, if you want to do something magical. But of course, then you'd have a risk of flux.
Yeah.
But that's up to you.
I'm just gonna roll straight and see how that goes.
All right. So roll a d10.
3.
You got it. You got what you needed.
Ooh.
Okay, so you are laser focused on these books and are not going to get overly distracted when things happen, if things happen. So you'll be able to get this sorted. Arushka and Shantanu right now are kind of engaging Marcus, and Marcus is... You're kind of spotting where it is that Marcus isn't wanting to give things, and you're slowly getting a story out of him where it's basically that, yes, you have consulted here before. It was before the war. When they were actually putting this place together, they sort of were looked into a little bit of your work, but you have been here before, but not as a patient. You basically did some work with the early staff here on some of what they were sorting out when they were setting this up as a satellite of the Caliban house. And so as that is unfurling, Mac, Marcus appears to be distracted. What would you like to do?
Mac is going to make his way to room 9.
Okay. Yes, so as you head down the hallway. And as you're heading down, basically, some of these rooms are empty, some of these rooms are not. On the same side as room 9, you can kind of hear what sounds like some slithering for some reason from behind one of the doors. This is from room 3, I think. But as you sort of head over, room 9 is at the end of the hall. And there's basically, you've got this wooden door that is presently shut. It's got a 9 on it.
So Mac is just going to wrap his knuckles against the door.
You hear breathing from somewhere in that room.
Mayfra, are you there?
So, the breathing changes, but whoever it is isn't saying anything. It also does sound, it sounds a little labored.
I'm going to open this door. May I come in?
And again, the breathing like slows down a little bit.
All right, no guts, no glory. Mac is going to open the door and let himself in.
So it is locked.
Damn it.
That is kind of one thing that does happen here.
Do we want to break in?
I will say that sort of as you're looking around, just as sort of as you try the door and it's locked, around that time I think is when Aurelia is going to be finished reading, because you're fast. So you are going to notice that sort of you look up and you will notice Mac is down at the end of the hall.
So Mayfra, I'm looking for Darren. I need some information.
The breathing speeds up again.
I am. Can I do this skill? No. No, I don't have enough sorcery to use that skill yet. Okay, Mac is just going to have to see if he can flag down Aurelia.
Yeah, you look over, you see that you see she's looking. Aurelia's looking in your direction.
And he's just going to motion her to come on over as fast as she can.
We'll raise an eyebrow, but we'll close the book and do so.
So you seem to have the gift of gab. I need to speak with the woman who resides in this room, but the door is locked.
All right.
She's an associate of someone I know by the name of Darren of the Numa. And, well, this goes back to the whole Limerence Street disappearance.
So, do you require her to speak, or do you require the keys?
I have a feeling that she can unlock this door, so maybe if you wouldn't mind just seeing if you can use your gift of gab to, get her to open up a little bit. Maybe we can get the information before it's not too late.
All right. And it's like, okay. And we'll just peer in. Hello.
Yeah. It's basically you've got a door between you, so you can't really see anything in there. So you can hear there's some kind of labored breathing going on from someone. It doesn't sound like they're asleep. It sounds like someone who's awake in there.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry to bother you from your rest. But a friend of mine is looking for information on someone you may know. Would you be all right with speaking about Darren the Numa, if you happen to know?
Okay. Okay, you've got level 5 of this, right? You've got 5.
Yep.
5 thing. Okay.
Yep.
And Mac has already been helping out. So yes, you hear a lock click, the lock click, and the door is The door opens slightly.
Yeah, we'll look over to Mac.
So Mac will just open the door slightly and gesture a bit after you.
All right. Oh, really? Step in.
So, interesting thing here. This room is basically it's got a bed. It's got a sort of out corner. It's got a tiled floor. It's got kind of a little desk in the corner. It has a chair in the middle of the room, and the room's sole occupant is strapped into this chair. She's basically in what looks like kind of a straitjacket type deal. She has sort of her hair. She has brown hair that's kind of short, but still very kind of tousled. And she's just looking forward and sort of rocking somewhat, and you can hear her breathing.
Is it all right if I take a step forward?
Let's see. You can see that she sort of lowers her head for a second, and starts breathing a little more slowly.
Yeah, Aurelia will take one step closer.
And she doesn't seem to react.
Okay. Take another, just to be like, not, I'm trying to be as far away from you as possible, but also not infringing on personal space.
Yeah. You get a little closer, and so it's like, there's a slight shift, but it's not like a defensive shift. It's like...
Yeah, and she'll, rather than bend down, she'll kneel down. To sort of be on that same eye level.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be able to tell us anything about this person?
She raises her head slowly. Mac, have you come into the room?
Yeah, so Mac has followed, and he's just one step behind Aurelia.
Okay. And you can see her slowly mouthing the word person, maybe.
Looks back to Mac. Am I right to assume this is a person?
Darren is a person, yes.
Darren.
Yes, Darren.
Okay. You're both going to hear something now, which has been provided to us. It's an audio file. Actually, no. What you're hearing is not. Never mind. What you're hearing in real life is an audio file. Here it is. You can hear whispering all around you, and then...
Axon is the street. The street is Axon. Now the street doesn't exist to hide from the Seeker. The street needs to exist. The Seeker needs not to exist. Now that the magic has been loosened, you just need to grab a hold of it and reverse it. You remember because Axon wanted you to find the looking glass in Alistair's shoe. The looking glass will reverse it. The looking glass. Help Axon. Please.
And you see, as that is happening, you still hear all this whispering, this It sounds actually kind of not unlike the Susurrus fountain. Of all these voices that that are probably mostly hers, but she's sort of bobbing back and forth as kind of, as she says that.
I'm sorry, could you play it one more time, because the ambient music was distracting me a bit from the...
Oh, okay. I can certainly do that. I will go ahead and I will turn the ambient music down. And I will go ahead and I will play that one more time, just so that we have that.
Axon is the street. The street is Axon. Now the street doesn't exist to hide from the Seeker. The street needs to exist. The Seeker needs not to exist. Now that the magic has been loosened, you just need to grab a hold of it and reverse it. You remember, because Axon wanted you to find the looking glass in Alistair's shoe. The looking glass will reverse it. The looking glass. Help Axon. Please.
Huh.
Well then.
Who's Alistair?
You're feeling a pressure now. You're both feeling a pressure kind of as you're standing here. As these whispers are starting to get... It's not like they're getting louder per se, it's because that would imply that they're kind of getting more intelligible. But it's like they're... It's you feel as though memories are starting to bleed at you, basically. In a way.
Incoherently?
Somewhat, yes.
We should probably move out of here shortly, if we're to remember what had just been said. Nevertheless, what we know already.
I agree. And he'll just thank me and quietly slip out as quickly as he can without disturbing anything else.
Yeah. Sort of pull out. Yeah, Aurelia, basically, I'm going to say, has already got the message memorized for the moment. As long as, depending on, how things go in here. This is one of those places that affects memories. As you're too correct about me. Yeah, you sort of pull out.
As soon as we're out, I am going to use a spell if I can.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to use Norham's Sea of Words.
That's magic.
Which is level 2. Words spoken around me appear in the language they are spoken. And I speak ink words.
Perfect. Yes, that's right. That's right. That's true. You say things and they're automatic.
So Aurelia is going to open a blank notebook she has, and she's going to speak into them, into the notebook, so that they get transcribed.
That is perfect. Yeah, no, you do it. You take out your notebook and you speak.
I word vomit.
You see her spelling it all out for you. And the words, they appear.
Yeah. And as soon as it's done, I rip out the page and hand it to Mac. Well. We should probably go back to the others. We are not supposed to be around the patients after all.
I know, that was very dangerous. I think the others are rubbing off on me a bit.
Well, I will raise a brow. but will start to walk down the hallway, definitely leaning more on the front part of her heel so she doesn't clack as hard.
Yeah.
On the hallway.
So, Arushka and Shantanu, you've been talking to Marcus, who very clearly remembers, it seems, Arushka from before the war. And so what Marcus has been describing is essentially this this thing where you came up with this sort of winnowing idea, this idea of winnowing down a memory so that it can be basically pulled away, sort of, kind of, not exactly slice bits off, that's kind of the wrong term. You separate, right? You separate bits off slowly in segments to make it so that hopefully the ones that you separate out are the ones that are causing the problem, and then you sort of the doctors sort of took that and ran with it and made it so that those could then become manifest and dealt with by the patients. You think also just kind of, well, actually, yeah. You see, it's one of those things. You rolled pretty well, so I will say that you kind of get this weird inkling that I have a feeling that neither you nor Shantanu normally get this inkling. I have a feeling, as far as being able to detect this kind of thing. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But Arushka, you sort of get this inkling that that Marcus kind of might have had a thing for you. Actually, I think that, yeah, it's like you remember this look that he gives you from before, and that's how you connect it up. It's like, I feel as though your previous self was better at detecting this kind of thing than your present self. Again, you may correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the impression I've kind of been thinking.
Seems legit.
And so this is like, and then just quite suddenly, it's like this sort of thing registers in the back of your head where it's like, I've done this to him before. I've kept him talking so that other people could do crap. I've kept him talking to get what I want from him. This is something apparently you also were good at before the war.
He's talking, I'm like not even paying attention, just having these thoughts in my mind, like, huh.
No one's really used to all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, Shantanu, basically, it's you're sort of doing that sort of those static kind of yeah, sort of helping along without kind of just sort of like having that sort of those nods of affirmation as necessary to help keep him talking.
Like does Marcus actually give a look to Arushka?
Kind of, yeah. It's this weird thing where he just sort of is like, he turns his head quite suddenly for a second, looks out of the corner of his eyes, and his tentacles do this thing where they're like, and
in that case, Shantanu would be like, oh, I think I've seen that look before. What does that mean?
Does Shantanu say that out loud?
Yes,
he's like,
Marcus.
And he just sort of pulls back. He's like, I don't know. Nothing. And they sort of like.
Do you know what it means, Arushka?
Like gives you a look like that hopefully in my mind makes me, I think I'm giving you a look of like, I'll tell you later, but out loud I'm like, no.
And you will note, basically, Mac and Aurelia will come out of the hallway, and you will note Roshka and Shantano still kind of talking to Marcus.
Aurelia is going to make a big deal of going to the bookshelf.
And
Will like pick up a book, and even though she's already read through it, it's like flicking through it again just to make it look like she hadn't left.
And Mac is actually just going to interrupt the conversation and just go, "Oh, hey, so do you need a spotter?"
He just sort of looks over. He's like, I mean, I'm usually my own spotter, but I mean, yeah, if you actually want to head down to the gym at some point.
Yeah, maybe another time. I think Aurelia has actually wrapped up the work that she needed to get done here. So, I guess, maybe we'll just have to come back another time, and you can,
okay.
Roshka can flirt with you some more. So,
It's just like, hey, he just sort of looks over at Roshka. Hey, it's good to see you. It was good to see you again, Miss Ruzik. Yeah, come back anytime.
Sure.
Yeah, and Aurelia will close the book with a audible.
Done.
And done.
Oh look, we're done. We haven't done anything suspicious. Let's go.
Not at all. Not the least bit suspicious. And yeah, no, basically they you are you kind of head out the door, or down the stairs, and they will basically down at the circulation desk. Kylie will look up and just sort of say, "Oh, thank you, Marcus. You get everything you needed?"
Yes.
oh yeah, lots.
All right then.
Thank you for your time and your patience.
She nods. Very good. Thank you for visiting.
Aurelia will incline her head.
And presumably everyone's going to head out, I take it, at this point.
Yep.
All right. So, in kind of wrapping this up, is there? Do I presume are you? Is there sort of, I don't know. You could say this in the courtyard, or you could wait until you get further away. I don't know, but are you going to tell?
Probably wait until we get further away.
Yeah. You're going to tell the others about what you discovered?
Yeah. So we're going to need to find a looking glass and a guy named Axon.
Well, yeah. Axon, you've sort of been hearing talked about. Vor apparently knew him probably better than most did, but Aroshka also knew him. Aurelia, you've heard of Axon, actually. You think you've met someone named Axon once before.
But more importantly, do you know who Alistair is?
Do any of us know who Alistair is?
Yes. Alistair, now that you're thinking about it, is one of the people who works at the pawn shop.
Huh. Well, I guess we're just going to have to stop there next.
So, that is upon that realization, that is where actually we're going to be. We're probably going to be drifting away, unless there's anything that is there anything anyone else would like to take care of as part of this session.
Jon Snow would turn to Aurelia and be like, "Oh, anytime you would like to meet my friend Murder, just let me know. I can summon him right now if you'd like."
I think I have enough information. I have to go and put down for a second, but I will certainly take you up on that offer later. Thank you.
It's not every day you get thanked for offering to introduce someone to murder.
Well, it's a very important concept in many a story. I must be on my way back home to complete my business, but I wish you all luck in your search. You'll need to look for a looking glass and Alice's shoe.
Yes, you were most helpful. I owe you a favor.
Well, whatever our paths next cross. If you ever require me, I am usually up in the park by the fountains. If I'm not there, just ask me by name with one of the other storytellers.
Yeah, you know the park they're talking about. It's up in Silver Hill. You've traveled around a bit. All right. So, was there anything else anyone wanted to take care of before we fade out? Okay. So, as is our wont here, before we absolutely finish everything off, I'm going to go around and ask about joy and despair, just to see if we're see how we're doing. Everyone gets an acumen for doing this, by the way, and we shall go around and ask. And this counts for everyone. Aurelia is now part of the narrative, so you may also progress if you so desire. So I'm going to start again with Aroshka. Do you think anything this session that might give you joy or despair?
Oh, that might give me joy or despair. I'm so bad at this. I totally haven't gone through any of the previous episodes and done this.
I've been forgetting too, so it's basically.
I don't think so. The most significant thing happened is that I accidentally flirted with a guy who apparently likes me.
yeah, that definitely happened. You're actually also remembering that. Well, I mean, it's sort of as that part of your brain unlocks again. You are starting to remember. I'll even say you are starting to remember a few things about some of the other interactions that you've had. That is kind of oh, right, that basically that thing that sort of comes up. Most strongly, probably from Isabel. But that's just sort of that thing that happens. But anyway, sorry, I was distracted. Okay, now to, yeah. So over to Wilde. Wilde, did Shantano get? Do you think anything that would get joy or despair? And I think you're muted.
Hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Yes, some despair from when Shantano was giving away or giving pieces of themselves as memories.
Yes. Oh God, yes. You got what you needed, but it hurt. So yes, you definitely get a despair for that. And Mac, do you think you did anything to get joy or despair this session?
I think it was probably a despair because he had to make a deal with a spirit that was definitely not in his favor.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. There's a. They're gonna want you to walk them through a mind labyrinth later.
I keep making these horrible deals.
I mean, that's where good storytelling comes from.
So these are the proverbial knives you guys all talk about.
Yeah, speaking of which, I should point out the source of these knives in my head. So, Kienna, what do you think Aurelia got any joy or despair today?
Not particularly. She
Okay.
wasn't very fancy
Yeah, that's true.
this episode. She was very storyteller, not very fancy. She's like right on that edge.
Yeah, that's true.
Vances don't particularly like her.
I will say you did recover like 3 or 4 of the books that you're looking for, though.
Yeah.
So that is the thing. I mean, I would be willing to award joy for that if you feel
Yes,
as though
that'd be good.
because that's the thing you've been
Part
doing.
of it's my character arc.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely. I mean, you probably get acumen for that as well, actually, also separately if you're getting there. I haven't looked at it recently, but I don't know where as far as what you need for each bit, but you've got some of the knowledge that you were looking for. And so that's going to wrap it all up for us today. We're going to go ahead now and do our outros. So basically, feel free to. So we're going to go around the reverse order now, and so feel free to plug anything you like and give any thoughts you had about this session. And say where folks can find you and all that. And I will start with Kienna. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun. I do miss how just freaking weird the actuality is. Just like, all right, I guess it's just happening now. Yeah, and it was nice to bring back Aurelia and have her do things. She didn't get much done in her last games. She was too busy getting caught up in other people's dating shenanigans. So didn't really get to recover much story stuff. Yeah, a lot of fun playing with everybody. I think my first time playing with everyone except for Jim, so this was cool. Yeah. Hi, and I'm Kienna. Y'all find me over on Twitter at KiennaS, best way to figure out what I'm doing. I'm on the internet, doing social role-playing things, mostly streaming and writing and just kind of shouting into the void. Most people know me as the co-creator of this TTRPG Safety Toolkit. Go check that out. Other than that, I'm starting up new seasons of shows and stuff that's happening. Again, Twitter, best way to figure out what's happening there. And also following Salty Sweet Games, which is my channel that I have with my best friend. We are going to be launching 2 new campaigns. Our first campaigns on the channel. We are doing a Witcher campaign, and we are doing a Poke Cthulhu campaign. So we'll be announcing those very soon. Yeah, thanks for having me again. It was a lot of fun.
Yay! Thank you so much for coming over. It's always a delight to have you on. As established in the lore, we have video of this. Kienna admitted that the voice in my head that tells me to add more knives is in fact hers. So
Safety and knives.
yes,
That's. I push people to be safe, but also knife.
so these things happen. But thank you.
I like
again
the symmetry.
Yeah, it is. There's so much. There's so much symmetry in it. But Anino, how you doing?
I am doing great. So I had a lot of fun tonight. We actually moved the plot along for like the second consecutive week. That's like a new record for us. So let's see. You can find me on Twitter at Anino Gaming. My next stream will be Wednesday on the Welcome Party RPG Twitch channel. They're starting a new homebrew D&D 5th edition campaign called On Prosperous Winds, which is a non-colonial take on exploring a brand new continent. So that should be a lot of fun. And then Fridays is my Cyberpunk Red campaign over on the Wandering DM Twitch channel. That one is a lot of fun. And then again, we swing around to this channel for another exciting edition of Invisible Sun at 8 p.m. We're getting really busy all of a sudden.
Things
People might
are
be
happening.
watching.
Actual things. Oh my god. People. Oh, no one told me there'd be people. It is. Things are happening. Things are happening, man. And Wilde, how you doing? Also muted.
Okay, how's that?
There, gotcha. You got.
Yeah, this was a really fun game. Thanks for joining us, Kienna. We really enjoyed your word vomit. So I'm Wilde Engineer. You can find me at Wilde Engineer on Twitter and Twitch. I've got another game starting in February with Pro Restarter. D&D will be in Tal'Dorei, and I've decided to make a barbarian who flavors rage as panic. So that should be fun. And I shall be doing another campaign starting up soon, but more information on that later.
Cool. Excellent. And I'm sorry. Did you give? Were there any impressions? Anything else you wanted to say? Final thoughts about this session?
Oh, I'm just sad I didn't get to summon murder again.
Soon. It'll happen. It'll happen, perhaps sooner than we all think. And finally, Arras, how's it going?
Hello, I'm Arras, or Animus Panthera, and you can find me on Twitter and practically everywhere else as Animus Panthera or Animus.Panthera, where I talk about cosplay and animals, because I'm a real-life zoologist, and also tabletop RPGs, but the only place you can watch me play tabletop RPGs is right here on Saturdays. That's it. At the moment, anyways. I always appreciate, it's like plot purposes, but also I love that whenever you have guest characters in a game, it's always just like, hello, random stranger, would you like us to join us for shenanigans? And random stranger's like, sure. Would you like to come to this highly dangerous place with us? Sure.
I mean, same agenda. It worked out.
I mean, surrealism is all about just sort of diving in and just doing the visceral thing, getting the reaction out, so that you can see the truth underneath. And so I feel it's fitting. This is one of the few settings where that's kind of fitting.
No one has any common sense in the actuality.
It's fair. That may be the deepest truth of all. I don't know. It's a thought. Well then, as for me, I'm Jim. You can find me at... I haven't done this in a few weeks. I'm trying to remember now. I'm coming back from break. You can find me at Other Doc on Twitch and Twitter. My website is jimyesthatjim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. I've got links down below to my website, Twitter, and YouTube channel. On Mondays, I will be back in the saddle on Monday, running Deadlands over on Tales from the Grim. So that'll be happening Monday nights. Right now we're still sort of ramping up. January is going to be a light month for this channel. So the next thing you'd probably see me in after that, once again, is just more of this, more Invisible Sun. That's pretty much what we're going to have mostly toward the beginning of the month. Toward the end of the month, I'm going to try to start getting the one-shots and all that scheduled. I got to kind of see where everything lands. I got to finish doing some basic planning stuff, and then we'll have more things happening by February. But toward the end of this month, I can guarantee you, we are having 2 new campaigns start on this channel. One is a Masks campaign that's going to be happening on Wednesday nights, again starting in late January. The other is a Dark Matter campaign, which you will also get to see Anino in. And we are uses this strange little indie game that I've not really heard much about. I think it's called Dungeons and Dragons, as part of its rule set. The campaign is titled Ghosts of Salt Maw because we are using our GM is taking Ghosts of Salt Marsh and putting it in space, and so I'm going to be very interested to see how all that goes. I got to finish getting my character together for that, but I'm very excited to have that going on. That's going to be happening late Sunday nights, again starting in late January. In the meantime, right now, no signups are up right now. We're going to start as we get later into the month. I'm going to have signups start up for things that are happening either toward the end of this month or beginning of next month. So look for those soon. Those will be accessible from the website or, clicking on RPG sign up down below. Again, as always, beginners are welcome. But I think when we hit the end card, I'm going to send a raid over to... There's a channel called Devil's Luck Gaming that I have not looked at a lot, but they dress up in costume and makeup, and they put a lot of work into it. So I figure we can go ahead and just say hi to them. Feel free, if you so desire, to say hi, to hang on and say hi to them with us. That again will be when we hit the end card. In the meantime, folks, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I will see you next week. Farewell.